morning and welcome to my channel. Sharon here. I'm going to do a tag for the cat journal that I've been making. I'm going to start off with a 3x6 base for it. Six. Nearly cut it down to 3. Not quite what I wanted. Okay, get rid of that. I hope you're all well today. I'm going to cut off a corner. Oops. Here. You know, I think I'll leave that for the moment. I'm just going to put this onto here. This comes from the Graphics Fairy, and I can't remember which kit it was at all, I'm afraid. So, my glue's working now. There's a good start. Okay. Now I will take my tag corner thingy. These are quite easy. You get an old card and cut the corners so that you can make even cuts on your tags like that. And then don't need that anymore. I have these from the Graphics Fairy as well, and I'm going to take this circle here and just cut that out. These are the dog and cat cupcake toppers, but are quite good to use in your journals, which is what I do. I've got a dog one coming up soon, I hope. Okay, what I want to do is just put this onto here like that. But I think first, to be truthful, I'm going to ink round the tag anyway and the topper. I hope you're all well. I was filming ahead, but I seem to have lost that pace recently. We've been doing some work on the land, and Mark managed to have a bit of a row with the chipper he's handed, so we've been having hospital visits. It's not too bad, it's okay, but it's put a stop on some of the work we were doing, so we'll have to get back to it in a couple of weeks' time. But as a consequence, I haven't done much of this. Okay, I'm going to put that on there. Just trim that off there. It's the ink that up. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to put that aside for now, and I'll show you. I did experiment. I've then printed one of the crowns on the Graphics Fairy website. She does have quite a few of them, and I've printed it as 70%. And I'm going to put this over the top and colour this into gold. Now, what I did, I tried different mediums to see what works so that I could print over it. This is what they call rich copper, which was this one here, and it doesn't really show up that well, and I didn't like it. Then we have, I've got these 3 pens. So this is this one, and again, it just didn't work. It didn't print very well. And again, the artist maker as well, it just rubs off with these pens. I thought I'd try everything. I did try that one as well, and that rubbed off as well. Then I tried this, which I really did think it would work. Thought it would work, but it didn't. It rubbed off on that as well. I tried this Crea Box Metallic Gold. I think this came from Lidl. This actually worked quite well, as you can see here. But I did think this printed too well, and it looked a bit too dark for me. I then used, we've got a shop here called Teddy. I used that one as well. They're acrylic paint, a gold acrylic paint, and it did come out quite well. I was quite happy with that. I probably could have used it. Then I used a gold shimmer paint from Cosmic Shimmer, and again, that wasn't too bad. If you know, it's different coloured golds, that's the thing. And then I did some watercolour, just a gold watercolour, and that wasn't too bad either. I was quite pleased with that. But what I ultimately decided on was this from I can't remember who it's made by. It's all in Japanese. Kuretake, the same as it. It's the same as these. The Kuretake, the watercolours, and I've used that. Now what I do first of all is you print this out 70%. I've done it. You then get a piece of copy paper so that you can see through it, and then you use, oh, better shake it first just in case, so you've got it mixed up. So what I'm going to do is just drop this on here, and you can see the outline, and just paint over it like this. Now I'm just going to check that it's in the right place, so I need a little bit more down here, so that when you print over the top of this, when it's dry, it will obviously print in the same place. Either way, yep, that's fine. So what I will do now is I'll just let this dry, and then I will print on top of that. Okay, next I want to cover this small CD case, and this is going to go, if I can find it here, take that tag out a minute. It's going to go here. I'm just going to attach it to this so that it flips like that. I don't know if I'm going to cover this. I don't think so. I'm going to leave that, and the only bit I'm going to cover is at the front. I might actually do that with some of this. I've got pieces of vintage papers that I've got scraps of, ledger bits, a bit of rag paper here, and then I've got some letters I've used part of in Spanish. So what I want to do is just, I'm not sure I'll use all of this, but cover some of this. So for instance, this will go like, I might do it, no, this way. It will go over the circle. Around here will not be even, but I'm not bothered about that. It's just about patching it up using this lovely scraps of original letters and documents. My scissors just fell over. I've got them in a pot and the whole pot's just gone. Oops. It's never done that before. So I'm going to go through this, just collaging over the top. I've done that. I like that. Let's bring the journal back in. I need to ink it up and then stick that down. I'll think about that, whether I'll cover that or not. And I have no idea what on earth I'm putting in it at the moment. So that will have to be a thought for another time. I might, actually thinking about it, one of those circles might fit in from the tag that I've been making. Might have to cut it down smaller, that way round. So I'm just going to stick this onto here, out there. Okay, that's that one done. As I say, I'm not definite what I'm planning on doing with putting in there. Now, one of the other things I've got to do is the envelope here and here. And for this, I've got a piece of the red toile kit, and I'm going to use this piece here just to cover, as it's facing the right way, if I put it on there, just to cover the top of that. Okay, there we go. I've put that on there, and then all I'm going to do next is do some stamping, and I'm going to use the Tim Holtz ledger stamps. Put that up there. Ledger script. Yeah, there. And just want a piece of paper to go underneath there, and I'm going to use archival coffee. Whoops, there we go. Just leave that like that, and I'm moving this over here. This will be a little bit more difficult because I'm kind of doing it on the edge. There, I think. Yeah, and I'll use the same again. Then what I want to do is put a cat image down here, and I've got a few here. Not keen on him. I like the cutie ones, not the scary ones. He's scary. Let's have a look at some of the bigger ones I've got here. Something like that. Okay, I'm just going to go with this one. I'm just wondering whether to do some stamping up there. I'll see. I think I did like him, but it's not covering that up too well. And this one I've already got there. So I'm just going to ink around this and then put him there. And I'm wondering about a small one along here, a tiny one. That goes well with that. And I'm pretty certain I haven't got this one anywhere. So I'm going to stick her on here. I'm not going to put anything in these. I thought I'd leave these empty for whoever gets this journal. Okay, I'm just going to put some, I've got some seam binding that's been tea dyed. I'm just going to put a bow onto this. There we go. You can peek out the top there. So this is how it's turned out. I've printed onto this Kuretake. It's sort of like a mica powder, or mica powder in liquid form. And I'm now going to just cut this out as ephemera. So we have this. Need to trim that little bit there. So, and I plan on putting this on his little head. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to cut around that piece as well, so that it rests on the pussycat's head. Whoops. Oh dear, sorry about that. I'm just dropping a few bits there. Okay. Okay, there we go. And then we just need to put it into here. So this can slot in there. Next, I got a bit carried away filling this little journal. It measures, going right up to the top piece of paper, about 7.5 inches, probably average, about 7 by 5.5. I'm not sure how many pages it has. I haven't really counted. I just kept putting nice vintage papers or tea dye papers in it. So it's my vintage cat journal, and I've used quite, oh dear, this got a bit cool. I might have to move that around. This is some old paper, the bookends of a book, and it had staples in, and I just liked that, so I put that in there. And then I also added a piece of my faux vintage tape. This is one of the Tim Holtz frames, and I've used that Goldfinger antique gold. It's a kind of a rub-on here, just to bring up the embossing on it. I quite like that. I thought that was quite nice. And throughout I've just put stuck little bits of ephemera throughout the book. And then this tag I collaged with some bits I had left over, and I put on, this is from, can't remember, I think it was the Mrs. Cogg's Crafts, it might have been, can't remember. And then I just put a scrap I had left over on the flap there. One of the collage, I did a scrap clusters I did a while ago. Here I've got a little tea dyed paper bag, put a laundry tag as a tag to pull it out. And again, piece of ephemera there. And then we did this on camera. I stamped it. I haven't put anything inside. And again, used a scrap of paper, well, that strip of paper, the railway spotters logarithm book, some vintage ledger paper, and here's the tea bags, the little tea bag notebook I made, and all of this is vintage lace in here as well, and the great foxing on the back of this. This is from 1880, an invoice, some rag paper, We did this on camera when I started it. It's a little hidden writing spot in there. Vintage lace, some more logarithm paper. Oops. And here I've put a little cabochon on of a little cat, and I've put that, oh, what they call it, the Mod Podge magic kind of stuff. I don't know what you call it. I'm not even sure what it's called. Have I got it? Ah, I've got it here. Mod Podge dimensional magic I've used on that. I'm not brilliant at it. I am getting air bubbles on it, but I'm getting used to it. I've had this about 3 years and not touched it. So I thought I'd better start doing it. So this is a vintage birthday card. I'm not sure where from. I got in the UK recently. Some more vintage lace. A check stub from 1963 and a tea card. And this is from some fabric I got, and they had labels attached. It was quite, I think it was from, I'm not sure, I want to say the 60s, but I don't know how old the fabric was. But there was quite a few of these little labels attached with the colours on. So I quite like that. Japanese paper. Another invoice, 1923, or ledger page, 1923. And then this in the middle. I haven't done anything. I've left it short. I thought maybe whoever gets it might want to put something on it or tie a bow or whatever. I wasn't sure. So I've just left it like that. And this is acrylic paint through a stencil. The other side of the invoice and the Japanese paper. And this is, I did another one on camera of making this little crown and collaged onto the paper, onto the tag. And then another, oh, it's a sweetie card, Barrett's sweet card. I used to get them in the pretend cigarettes that we used to get back in the 60s and 70s. And I've also, with the logarithm paper rather, I've been cutting up the strips here, which I thought was quite nice to go as edgings on pages. So I've been using that up. Journal card, vintage lace, and I just stamped a label. These were a freebie and I can't remember who from. Backed with some of the, again, the end papers in a book. And then one of these little notelets where you've got a place to write. And then here is tucked in another place for you to write in. And I've just tucked it into this here. And this is the Puss in Boots page that I folded over and then clipped at the bottom. Just put a tab on there. And then here is that small pocket. And I've put another frame in, but I've just left it loose, so whoever gets it again can use it for whatever they want. And then there's a couple of little small journal cards in there, all are backed. Oh, this is with some vintage ledger paper. That's from some of the foxing paper, and some will be tea dyed paper as well. The other side of that invoice, look, some lovely foxing again on there. And then my coffee filter pocket, and I've just put a couple of cards in here. Again, as you can see, that's the vintage ledger, and that's the foxed paper end papers. They come in very handy, even if they've got writing one side. Another piece of that logarithm paper. This I made into a tuck spot, and again I used that paper that had a paper clip in, the fox paper, and I've put a little laundry label on there and just tucked that in. This is the front I had left over from an envelope, so just put a piece of ephemera on there. I'm not sure of the date, and then I've just tucked a little journal card up there with a piece of my faux washi, a faux vintage tape, and you can see the mark from the paper clip, the rusty paper clip on this bookend, and that just tucks up there. So another hidden spot. Again, the other side of that envelope that I'd already put some ephemera on and stamped on. The other side of the laundry label, the book page. And here we did this. And I've just tucked, not backed it, just tucked a circle of a cat in there. So you can see his face through. And then this is another tag. I've used some vintage ephemera and some scraps from the kit. The red toile kit from Milles Vieux. I can't pronounce that. Some embroidery, a corner of a sort of a doily, one of those tablecloth things, not tablecloth, dressing table top. And then I've just turned it in with some hand stitching, and then again attached this journal card to some back of the foxed paper, and look, there's the paper clip, rusty paper clip, and then just put a scrap of the vintage lace I had left over on the corner there. And then we've also made one of these already, just in case you haven't seen it. I will just slip this off. And it's a journal card that I've put scraps on, and it's the other side of another envelope again that I've used. I can't see. It's been posted from Romania to Germany. And another, you can write on this, a little hidden spot, and I showed you how to make these. I'll leave that there for now. And then this is attached to the other side of that here. Just again, I had a scrap of craft card left over from making tags and a bit of paper. So I just put that on with some vintage lace, and then just put another vintage element on there. And we come to the end. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing me make those tags and the quick flip through of this journal. Thanks a lot. Bye.